flashback.
Hey guys, just a quick recap on where things left off with our 1958 Chevy Apache. We sent it down to California over to our good family friend Marcos, and he had the S-10 frame and chassis with that LQ4 6.0 engine mounted down, and did some fixes on that there, and we got it all secure with new mounts, and we had to do some fabrication just to make sure that everything was gonna fit properly and that there'd be no issues with dropping the cab and front fender, as well as the bed on it eventually. But where we left off, we went down to Marcos as I was helping him out and making sure that we could drop the cab down, the front fender. We were using the tractor to kind of lower everything down and make all our alignment and measurements to the frame. And that's where we started to just kind of weld things in place to be, placeholders, and make sure that everything was going to go down flush and smooth. So that was the last update we had for you guys. So I'm excited for today to get you up to date and where things are currently.
End of flashback.
Before we get to the recap, don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate y'all, Steven's family. So here we have the driver's side cab corner, and I apologize for the graininess of the video. These are the videos that Marcos has been sending me as I've been in Utah and he's in California, but he's been doing some work on the truck. So this, like I said, the cab corner was all rusted out. He cut it out, tried to save what he could, but I didn't realize there's this inner kind of brace as well that he had to work on, and so he fabricated that first so that it would have some strength to attach to the new cab corner that I got off of LMC truck, and you can see it here. So if you guys ever are interested in LMC truck, I'm not no paid promotional or anything, so you can see how it turned out. So we welded it up and got it pretty fitted nicely. For the next fix that we had done, this was an important one even though it was so small, but when we first got the truck, we took the front clip off, and we were pretty aggressive using a high velocity impact wrench and snapped the bolt, and I thought we'd put enough WD-40 or breakaway, whatever they call that, spray on it, but nope, it snapped the bolt. And you can see there in the middle, I tried to do one of those drill bits that you can kind of try to turn the bolt with it, drill into it and turn it out, but as you can see, it left this little dimple thing. So this is on the driver's side. This part is actually on the cab where the front clip bolts in, and so yeah, we had to get this fixed, otherwise we won't be able to mount the mount the front fender back onto the cab in this area. So what Marcos did is he tried to get the bolt out, but he couldn't, so he had to end up just cutting it out. And then you can see it left this huge hole that I don't know how deep down that goes into, but he ended up putting in this new reverse, I don't know, it's like a nut or something, but it fits in there. And then he welded it in. Like I said, some of these things are going to be a little rat roddy, but he got it in there pretty secure. And all of these videos aren't always like a finished product where he finalized it all, but these are just the ones he sends over to me. So this here, you can see we had to get some part of the front fender as well. As you can see, that's the side that would have went into that bolt. How rusted it was. We got these new inner braces to be able to mount on there. He welded them in, and there was even some parts of the front fender that we had to use new metal, but as you can see, he did a good job, so it's looking pretty solid there, following the body lines. So that's the other part that got updated and fixed. So for this fix that we had to do, hopefully you can make out what this is, but this is the engine bay, and this is as if you were in the driver's seat looking down into the engine. So this is where the exhaust manifold is on the driver's side, and the prior ones were way too big, so we needed these more sleek manifolds you see on the right to get down to that little steering box and that pin there. that was blocked by the prior manifolds that were a lot bigger and bulkier. So just some of the little things when you do an LS swap or chassis swap, things you switch around, sometimes you don't have access. So we had to update that and get new manifolds. So this fix here is one of the cooler ones I like to see and learn from Marcos as he does it. So these are some thick pieces of metal slabs here that are about a 1/4 inch thick or more that will be used to mount the cab to the frame. And so he's already done the measurements and everything to make sure it's going to be the right size, to make sure everything's flush and that the cab is sitting level and everything's right with the measurements. So here you can see on the bottom, that's the frame, and up top where that bolt's coming out, that's the cab. And so he's measured out how these are going to be so that everything will sit flush. And he's going to fabricate up top these pieces, which he did, and that, you know, they're boxed up on the bottom with the square so that he can box it up to the frame and weld it all in. And then up top you have the bigger circle where the bushing, the rubber bushing, will go to reduce sound and whatnot, and the inner circle is where he'll, you know, bolt it through the cab down into these mounts. So here you see how he got started on it. This is the back side of the cab. He welded it into the frame and got the top piece there in place with the rubber bushing and bolted it in, so everything looks nice and clean on that side. And then on the passenger side we got the same setup. So you can see he's got that slab and the bushing up top there, so he'll box it all in and should be a nice, good, solid cab mount. Alright, so this here is actually the bed, and this is the most rear part of the passenger side of the bed. And as you can see, it was rotted out pretty bad. And if you actually remember in one of my first videos trying to open the tailgate, it was rusted together with the bolt so badly that it actually ripped that piece of the bed off.
Well, I don't know if you guys can see the bottom of that there, but it just pulled right off of the thing. That's not good.
You slamming my door like some kind of grill on a football field.
I probably have to weld something back in there to get a new tailgate on. Oop.
So here's that corner right there that I'm talking about. Look at that, just ripped that piece of metal from the bottom up through where the bolt would go in for the gate, for the tailgate to swing open and close. But I mean, look at it, it's all cancered and rusted out down there from just years of sitting in the water, kind of welling up back there. And here you can see the cross sill right in the middle there was rusted out. So yeah, it was just in bad shape. So this was one of those things I was like, yeah, let's just get this all cleared away right now as we're trying to get everything mounted to the bed, and everything needs to be cleaned up and probably lowered inside the bed anyhow. So let's just clear up all this rot and rust. And as you can see, there was that spot again where it just was all rusted out in the bottom. And so then went on LMC truck and got a new rear cross sill for the truck bed, and I think they're called a pillar, that right, passenger side rear pillar, so that that cross sill can bolt into that. And so he cut out the old areas and put in a new one. And as you can see here, got that new metal there where the gate can bolt in, and the bushing on the inside where the bolt bolts into the gate. You can see right there, there's where the bolt is. So that whole area, look at that, it's nice and clean, new where that bolt is, and bolts into that, to the gate where the bushing is, and should be able to swing open now. And he actually went back with some of the new LMC truck pillar and cut out all the old rot and put in that new one. So that's awesome. This side was good, there wasn't much rot on that side to start with. So yeah, got a tailgate here, y'all. Look at that. Functional tailgate, opens and closes, and you can chain it in. Look at that. It's exciting to see when you got the progress like this, get the gate, be able to open and close. Alright, last but definitely not least, dropping the bed down on the chassis. You can see here Marcos has tacked in some pieces of metal there attached to the bed just for place holding to mark up, you know, where things need to go for it to sit down flush from the bed down onto the frame. And you can see he's got it up there on the lift, making all those adjustments and measuring it out. So here you can see he's trying to figure out with that, you know, that piece of wood there, where this needs to, where the bed needs to drop down to kind of sit nicely on the wheel, in line with the wheels and with the front cab. So just a bunch of videos of him just kind of showing his process and how he's figuring this all out, where it needs to sit as it sits right now, what you know, things will run into, like these high you know, arms for the suspension in the back. So he's looking at areas where he might have to cut out, and you know, or even just raise the bed in the back. So as you can see here, he kind of marked those areas where those high suspension arms will be, where he'll run into issues. And so he kind of cut them out there. Like I said, we have that diamond plate bedding floor of the bed, and so he kind of cut it out just to get a better look at what it would look like. But he ultimately just welded them back up, and he's gonna drop it down and raise the inside, the whole bed, just so it's all flat. And we're already running out of bed space as it's not a fleet side. But here you can see where he's actually already dropped it down, and he has it lined up where those mounts from the frame will line up with the bed. And here he actually has done it. He's moved it down. As you can see where it's sitting flush, there's where the wheels will ultimately be sitting in the well. He's got it all lined up there in the back. So I'm happy with the ride height. And again, here's look at that gate, functional tailgate. I love it. But the ride height looks like it'll be good. Kind of looking like an original ride height for it. One of the things we talked about too is when that time comes, having to shorten the frame. This is gonna be one of the big things that he's gonna do, is make sure that it sits flush from the back of the cab to that frame. So guys, we're getting close. Once we shorten that frame and pull that bed to the cab, it's just gonna be tinkering on little things from there to make sure everything is good. So here we go. Hope you guys enjoyed this little update, and if you guys would just like and subscribe so that you can get all of the updates as they come in. All right, y'all, appreciate you guys support, and we'll catch you next time.